out after a new study highlighted rising nitrogen levels. It's a tricky subject for many. Dairy farmers are often painted as the villain, but their economic contribution is vital. In a moment, we're going to be discussing how technology might hold the key. But first, our Christchurch reporter Digby Worthmuller has spoken with those directly involved.
Oxford farmer Cameron Henderson's one of many who made the move to Canterbury years ago to convert a farm to dairy.
A lot of North Islanders moved down here chasing the opportunity for turning otherwise unproductive dryland Canterbury farms into irrigated dairy farms.
He says running a farm's become much more complex since he started.
When we arrived, the key goal was really get as much land as you could, get as much water as you could, and just irrigate it, and it would grow grass, and that was about it.
Since then, the dairy boom's seen the region become home to more than 1 million cows, and newly published research has shown the impact the industry's having on the region's drinking water.
What we've highlighted is how much fresh water is harmed in the production of milk in Canterbury, and it's a result of the industrialisation of farming.
The research shows for every litre of milk produced in Canterbury, between 400 to 11,000 litres of water is needed to dilute its pollution.
If we had 12 times as much rain, a minimum of 12 times as much rain, that would dilute the nitrogen out to safe levels. We don't have that we're not going to.
He says the best solution is fewer cows.
And what we need to do is to reduce the intensity, reduce the number of cows on the land. And that will have advantages for greenhouse gas emissions, for nitrate to water, harm, human health harm, all right across the range.
Environment Canterbury admits more could be done, but says it's already brought in a raft of regulations.
We've spent a lot of money in the last 10 years developing a plan that puts in place restrictions on the amount of nitrogen and other losses that come from farming and other practices. So yes, there probably has to be more to get better standards.
Just 12 years ago, the only requirement to run a dairy farm was an effluent consent.
Now we've got a consent to farm, we have a farm environment plan, it gets audited every 3 years, and there's even greater regulation coming that mean that we need to reduce our nitrate output.
The growth in dairy farm consents in Canterbury shot up in the 90s during what was called the white gold rush. But even as the number of cows has grown, farmers say they've invested heavily in that time in new tech and farming strategies.
So genetics is one of the tools that we've already implemented in this farm. So there again, over the last 5 years, we've managed to halve our nitrate losses from this property.
But Dr. Mike Joy says the situation must be fixed from the top.
Farmers are not in any way to blame for this. The failing is the government, central and local, to stop this intensification from happening.
The environmental impacts of dairy being felt far from the farm gate. Digby Worthmuller, One News.
It's big, right? So let's talk cows and their effect on our environment. We are joined by David Chin from the Livestock Improvement Group. Morning, David.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming as well. And I know you've travelled all the way from Cambridge to be here, so we really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
This is something that obviously agricultural sectors around the world are grappling with, but clearly it's a very big issue for us here in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Dairy is such an important part of our economy, and it's interesting in the clip. There's a number of things that farmers are doing and the industries are doing around technology that are improving the situation. And it's not a pipe dream. It's happening here right now, and what we need to do is we need to breed more efficient, sustainable cows that produce more milk, and we can do that. We're doing it right now.
Yeah, which is fantastic, and we speak to farmers all the time, especially on this show, about some of the incredible work that they're doing, the technology that they're using. So I know how seriously farmers are taking it, but I guess what we keep coming back to is these people in the environment space calling for a fundamental change to the way that we farm in this country.
Yeah, so a lot of the research that we're doing, especially around methane, we've just in the middle of a research program right now looking at low methane cows. We've just measured methane outputs on about 400 bull calves. We're seeing a good amount of variability in that. So where these animals per kilogram of feed eaten, they produce a lot less methane for that amount of feed, and you have some other animals that produce a lot of methane. And so now we are going to be generating heifer calves from those bulls this spring, and that's going to be a really great contribution to reducing some of these impacts, the climate impacts of our cows on the environment, and that's going to be fantastic when that happens.
In what way? Explain to me how that will make an actual impact.
So per kilogram of feed eaten, the cows will generate less methane. That's the theory. So we've found the variability of that phenotype in the bull calves. We're looking for the heritability of that trait. That's why we're going to be generating heifer calves. And so we'll be able to produce milk with a lower methane footprint. And in New Zealand right now, we already have a very low carbon footprint for the milk that we produce. So, I agree with the farmer that you had on the clip. We don't need more cows. We just need better cows that are more sustainable and are more productive for the farmer. And that's what we do at LIC as the Herd Improvement Cooperative.
Yeah, I was wondering what your mandate was. What is it that you're actually trying to achieve here?
Well, our vision and purpose is, we generate world-class pastoral-based genetics, and we want for our farmers to generate the most profitable, sustainable cow for them. And to do that, what people don't understand is that cows, there's a great variation in the performance of a cow in a herd. It's sort of like rugby players in the country. Not everyone makes the first 15, not everyone makes the Super Rugby team, not everyone makes the All Blacks. Farmers with the cows in their herd, they see the same variation. And so what we set about to do is to say, let's find those elite cows for the same amount of feed eaten, for the same amount of environmental footprint, produce more milk, and let's breed from those. And we're doing it right now. And the farmers that are using the cooperative's elite genetics, they're doubling the rates of their genetic gain in the last 5 years. So it's a real tremendous story. And it's happening. We don't have to wait for that. We've been investing in that research for a long time, and it's happening right now. So we're really proud of that and continuing on that journey with our farmers.
So there is a way to continue with the milk production in the way that this country does, which is huge volumes, but with fewer herd numbers, because that's the biggest thing that often the environmental specialists keep coming back to is we can't keep growing our herd numbers in this country.
What we've seen is the peak cow number in the national herd and the dairy statistics that has it's plateaued and now it's declining. So we're seeing about a 20,000 drop in cow numbers year after year. And if you look at the dairy statistics in the 2020-21 season, the country produced 2.7% more milk. They did it with 145 less herds. So absolutely, we can actually produce the same amount, if not more milk, from less cows. And when you have less cows, you have less environmental footprint, less pollution in the waterways. So it's not something that we have to wait for. It's something that's happening right now, and we just have to, sharpen our focus and deliver that. And I think the vision for New Zealand is to have, the world's most efficient dairy herd, producing the best quality milk with the lowest carbon footprint. And I think we can achieve that.
Are farmers on board with this? Because change is not always easy. It can be a little scary sometimes.
Yeah, farmers are absolutely on board with this. We see an increasing, especially in the work we do with farmers, increasing interest in improving the genetic merit of their animals, breeding to more elite bulls, and definitely focusing on what they do with those poor performing cows. So yeah.
We're on the right track. Are we getting there fast enough though?
You can never go fast enough. Everyone wants it done yesterday. So look, it depends on who you talk to. But the cool thing is that we're not having to wait. Farmers are doing that right now. They've been, good farmers have been genetically improving their herds for many years. But now we've been investing in technology. So we've got, methane reduction technologies. We're looking at LIC, we're doing work into heat tolerance, so cows can handle the heat stresses of, climate change and what that might happen in the future. So that's already happening as well. And, we do this through a vast array of investment into R&D around genetics and genomics and milk analysis. So there's a significant amount of investment going in, and yes, we're seeing the outputs already of that.
Because we've got to get this right, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's pointing in the right direction and understands it. And I think the other thing that we realise, that's what our consumers expect of us as well. Our environmental credentials when we sell our products overseas have to be number one, and our sustainability credentials have to be number one. And New Zealand's pastoral, agricultural-based system, whether you're doing sheep, beef, or dairy, is a fantastic system. We should be very proud of it. It stands up really well when we look at that in the world markets.
David, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And your insight has been fascinating this morning. That's David Chin from the Livestock Improvement Group. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Have a lovely day.
Will do.
Right, stay with us. We will be right back with your 7 o'clock.